You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, one reason I could talk about this, and I'm talking about Lane Kiffin, and is Florida really going to lose out to LSU in this Lane Kiffin sweepstakes? It remains to be seen. Honestly, I kind of wanted him to stay at Ole Miss if he decided not to go to the National Football League. And of course, the Giants are immediately the club that I think about because of Jackson Dart. Well, on the College Game Day show today, Tricky Nicky Saban scorched college football because you got people upset about Lane Kiffin's timeline on all this. And while I understand you may not like it, this is what's going on in college football. This is how things are set up as currently constituted. And what I mean by that is the idea that your coach may or may not be out before you get into the college football playoff, and I'm talking about any team. You see what that says right there. Lane Kiffin announcement is coming after the November 28th Egg Bowl. That is, of course, I believe that's Black Friday. And we're talking about, we believe there's only two colleges involved here besides Ole Miss, and that's LSU and Florida. I really thought Florida would go heavy. But LSU is the one that looks like it's got I've heard at least $13 million a year from everybody involved. Ole Miss, Florida, and LSU. LSU finalizing $90 million offer, $25 million roster cash for Lane Kiffin. And by the way, the governor of Louisiana has already signed off on this. Yahoo Sports' Ross Dillinger reported this right here. So there's big money on the table. Jeff Landry's already talked about this. A lot of people are not happy because Ole Miss is having a hell of a season. Let's be real. Ole Miss is thinking national championship right now. All right? That's where their head's at. At least getting into the playoff and making a hell of a lot of noise. Nick Saban made these comments today about the state of college football and coaches hiring.
Well, everybody should be thinking about the players. Everybody should be thinking about the student athletes. What's best for the student athletes? Players should be able to play for his coach for the entire season. Players shouldn't be penalized if a coach leaves because the committee has the opportunity, if a player or coach doesn't participate, they can sink you in the rankings. Mm-hmm. So Ole Miss could go down in the rankings, maybe lose a home game. So their players are getting penalized. But we need to take a better approach to the business aspect of what we do in college athletics. In the NFL, you cannot leave your team until you're finished playing. You can't talk to another coach in the regular season. There's a defined time when you can talk to them if they're in the playoffs. That's the way it should be. And we should match the academic calendar with the football calendar, and we shouldn't have an early signing date that conflicts with people wanting to hire an early coach, a portal situation where you got to hire an early coach, fire your coach early. None of this is fair to the player. So if we did all that in May and then had some kind of OTA days or something in the summertime instead of spring practice, we wouldn't have all these issues and players could actually finish the year. So this is not a Lane Kiffin conundrum. This is a college football conundrum that we need some leadership to step up and change the rules on how this gets done in terms of coaching searches and opportunities for people to leave. Players can leave. So if you went to the Ole Miss players, they would say, I want my coach to coach till the season's over. Yeah. We got a chance to go to the playoffs. When's the next time we're going to have a chance to go to the playoffs? So that's the way it should be, regardless of what Lane decides to do.
Agreed. Now, the issue here is trying to figure out how to match the academic schedule with the football schedule. Some universities have quarterly schedules, some have semester schedules. But it's a mess, and all these fan bases continuously get mad at these coaches. The coaches are doing, if they want to potentially take another job, period, or if they're interested in another job, this is the system that has been set up currently. This is the system that they're currently using to make these decisions. All right? Well, Lane should just want to stay there. Look, Ole Miss is a hell of a job. It's not Florida. It's not LSU. And I like Ole Miss. I like the program. I think Lane, I've said this, Lane's got a chance to potentially escalate that program. But the fact is, LSU and Florida are going to be able to spend more money than Ole Miss in the long term. That's just what it is. Okay? And so I don't know. I know Eli Manning's come out. He's made some comments about this too. And of course, I mean, he's really pro Ole Miss. Quote, you just kind of hope these things are settled so we can get into the Mississippi State game, know what we're trying to do, and have a chance to make the playoffs, Manning said. We have a chance to host a college football playoff game in Oxford, which would be amazing. You just hope everything gets settled so everybody can focus and know what we're working towards. Everybody being committed to winning that championship. And of course, I don't know that that's going to work out. I don't know that that's going to work out. Nick Saban's right. In the NFL, you're not talking to coaches like that until the season is over. If they're in the playoffs, you can, you get like a Zoom kind of coaching interview, that sort of thing, before you can, I think, as the playoff progresses, I think during the bye week of the Super Bowl, you can actually maybe do an in person. I can't remember how that works. But I get his point. It's a college football issue they need to solve. Also, how about these coaches, and this would be a better one, like the National Football League, once coaches sign a contract, make it ironclad where they can't go to another school unless they trade for the coach. You may be like, well, how would that work out? You give me your number one recruit, you can have my coach. By the way, it better be something like a quarterback, like a top 5 quarterback in the nation. And for some of these coaches, not a chance in fucking hell I'm making that trade. I'm not. Maybe one of these, but then you got the issue of the players got to want to go to the other school. That's not going to work out either. That's got to work out. That's not going to work out. I will say this about the NFL, though, and this is the dirty little secret. All right, this is the dirty little secret. It doesn't matter if an NFL coach is coaching another team, because these owners reach out to these coaches that, yes, are coaching teams right now. They do it every year, and it's called back channels. They reach out behind the scenes, put feelers out. Are they interested? Could they be interested? Blah, blah, blah. And there's talks there, all right? Now, I doubt the coach themselves ever talks to anybody with the club, because if that got exposed, holy shit. But the representative of the coach and the club, I wouldn't shock. Well, I'm not going to say it wouldn't shock me. It's happened. It's happened. I guarantee it. Some think that that's the future for Mike Tomlin coming up in like a New York Giants kind of way, right? That his time at Pittsburgh may be ending, and the New York Giants may really be interested in Mike Tomlin. That's just, you get my point. It's a damn shame for the kids too, It is. I get everybody's point, and everybody's, I get the fan bases being mad. I get the fan bases that want these coaches. I understand all of it. In college football, it's got to do with how is the national perception of the program? How's it viewed? How's LSU viewed versus LSU and Florida viewed versus Ole Miss? I know Brian Kelly in Michigan State is potentially a thing. Would he take Michigan State over Penn State if Penn State came calling? And now there's word that Penn State is coming after Kalen DeBoer of Alabama. In what world is Penn State a better job than Alabama? I mean, you get my point now. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.